Despite ambitious global vows to shift away from fossil fuels towards cleaner energy sources, the world's reliance on coal for electricity generation is surging back stronger than ever, and it's far from fading away anytime soon. This stubborn persistence raises urgent questions about our planet's future, but stick with me as we dive into the details. You might be surprised by the twists and turns in this energy saga. While numerous nations worldwide are promising to pivot from fossil fuels to renewable options, coal consumption for power has actually increased recently. Many governments are dedicated to slashing coal production and usage in the decades ahead, given its notorious status as the most polluting fossil fuel. It's being swapped out for cleaner alternatives like natural gas in some places, as countries steadily expand their renewable energy infrastructures to move towards sustainable power. Yet, despite these grand commitments and massive investments in greener technologies, coal remains deeply entrenched in our energy mix. In fact, global coal usage hit an unprecedented peak in 2024, which is likely to worsen the effects of climate change. For years, leaders across the planet have rolled out policies to curb coal to combat global warming. Although coal's share in electricity generation has dipped thanks to growing renewable capacity, the rising overall need for power resulted in more coal being burned last year. As detailed in the latest State of Climate Action Report, https://systemschangelab.org/state-climate-action-2025. Specifically, worldwide coal demand jumped by 1.5% in 2024 compared to 2023. https://www.iea.org/reports/coal-mid-year-update-2025/demand, climbing to a historic high of 8.79 billion tons. This uptick was primarily fueled by fast-developing economies in Asia, especially China and India. China's consumption increased by 82 million tons, MT, or 1.7%. While India's rose by 45 metric tons, or 4%. Nations like Indonesia and Vietnam also saw their coal appetite grow. On the flip side, the European Union cut back by 40 metric tons, or 11%, and the United States reduced by 14 metric tons, or 4%, as aging coal plants were shut down and renewables took center stage. As Europe and North America scale back their coal dependency, regions like Asia are projected to lean on it heavily for the foreseeable future. China, India, and ASEAN countries together accounted for about 77% of global coal demand in 2024. And this is where it gets controversial. Should wealthier nations shoulder the burden of rapid decarbonization, leaving developing ones to catch up? It's a debate that's heating up. Electricity from coal plants, the main force behind this demand, reached a new record in 2024, generating around 10,766 terawatt-hours, TWh. That's the total energy output, equivalent to powering billions of homes for a year. Meanwhile, coal's role in producing iron and steel stayed relatively steady. China plays a massive role here, consuming roughly 30% more coal than the rest of the world put together, much of it fueling its booming manufacturing sector. The report points out that although many leaders are actively trying to reduce coal dependence in favor of renewables, the global shift isn't happening quickly enough to hit key greenhouse gas reduction goals by mid-century. For beginners, think of greenhouse gases as invisible pollutants from burning fuels that trap heat in the atmosphere, like a blanket making the earth warmer and causing extreme weather. There's no question we're heading in the right direction overall, but the pace is too slow, said Clea Schumer, a research associate at the World Resources Institute think tank. https://www.theguardian.com/environment/2025/oct/22/global-use-of-high-in-2024. The problem is that a fossil fuel-based power grid creates ripple effects throughout the system. The takeaway is clear. We can't keep global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels if coal keeps setting records, she added. And this is the part most people miss. The interconnected nature of energy systems means one delay in one area can snowball into bigger problems. Back at the COP26 Climate Summit in 2021, nations agreed to phase down coal use through the Glasgow Climate Pact. Even though they softened the wording from a full phase-out at the last minute, it still represented a strong promise to lessen coal reliance. Many environmental advocates felt let down by the dilution, but most saw it as the beginning of coal's decline. At the time, Fatih Birol, head of the International Energy Agency, noted, https://www theguardian.com/environment/2021/NOV/13/COP26-countries-agree-accept-imperfect-climate that over 40% of the world's roughly 8,500 coal plants would need to close by decade's end, with no new ones built, to stay under the 1.5 degrees Celsius warming cap. He urged, "I really hope advanced economies lead by example for developing nations. If they don't, they can't expect others to follow." But here's where it gets really divisive. Coal's value differs wildly by country. India, while pledging to cut emissions over time, views coal as essential for driving its industrial growth to boost economic prosperity. Prime Minister Narendra Modi even hailed surpassing 1 billion tons of coal production earlier this year as a proud moment. https://India-hits-1-billion-tons-coal-production-PM-Modi-calls-it-a-proud moment. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has reversed previous climate pushes, championing coal and fossil fuels to revive domestic industries. https://www.theguardian.com/us-news/2025/sep/29/Trump-spending-coal-industry, potentially increasing emissions. https://oilprice.com/energy-general/trumps-energy-policies-are-set-to-significantly-boost-US-emissions. HTML. This slowdown in cutting coal highlights the urgent need to strengthen commitments at the upcoming COP30 UN Climate Summit in Brazil. https://www.theguardian.com/environment/2025/June/2-9/climate-is-our-biggest-war-warns-CEO-of-COP30-ahead-of-un-summit-in-Brazil. Plus, there's a call for extra support to help emerging economies switch to green energy without sacrificing growth tied to fossil fuels. https://oilprice.com/energy/energy-general/developing-nations-green-transition- without -funding. HTML. What do you think? Is it ethical for developed countries to demand coal phase-outs from poorer nations when they once built their own economies on cheap fossil fuels? Or should economic priorities take precedence over environmental goals in the global south? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's spark a conversation. By Felicity Bradstock for oilprice.com. More top reads from oilprice.com. Copper soars to record high on supply crunch and brighter outlook. https://oilprice.com/metals/commodities/copper-soars-to-supply-crunch- and -brighter-outlook. HTML. India plans $11.3 billion bailout for state power firms. https://latest-energy-news/world-news/India-plans-113-billion-bailout-for-state-power-firms. HTML. Japan tells Trump Tokyo will struggle to ban Russian LNG imports. https://oilprice.com/latest-energy-news/world-news/Japan tells Trump Tokyo will struggle-ban Russian LNG imports. HTML.